My lawyer will destroy you if you push this. Julian Mercer said it like he was ordering coffee. Casual, certain. The courtroom didn't gasp. It just got quieter. The kind of quiet that feels like holding breath. Judge Frank Caprio set his pen down slowly and looked up over his reading glasses. Mr. Mercer, you're in a courtroom, not a negotiation. Julian shrugged. 19 years old, leaning back in his chair like Hound the furniture. I'm just being honest. My father's Theodore Mercer. You know the name. Caprio's voice stayed level. I know the law. That's what matters here. Sure, Julian said, smirking. But let's not pretend this isn't going to disappear. Miss Reyes, the clerk, shifted in her seat. Officer D'Angelo, standing near the back, straightened slightly. Caprio just watched Julian for a moment, then picked his pen back up. Tell us where you're watching from, if you believe moments like this matter. We'll see, Caprio said quietly. Text message screenshot 92 AM. Julian, judge won't last 10 minutes once dad calls. This is a joke. Miss Reyes stood and read from the docket, case number 2027 TR 9921 for State versus Julian Mercer. Charges include reckless driving, crosswalk violation, verbal intimidation of an officer, destruction of a citation, and contempt of court. Julian rolled eyes. Contempt for what? For your behavior at the traffic stop, Miss Reyes said evenly. Rachel Van, his defense attorney, rose, mid-30s, polished, clearly expensive. Your Honor, we're prepared to pay the base fine today and resolve this efficiently. My client has a clean juvenile record and sit down, counselor. Van blinked. Your Honor, this court is not a payment portal. Sit. She sat. Caprio looked at Julian. You were issued a warning 9 months ago. Do you remember? Julian waved a hand vaguely. Miss Reyes pulled up a document, administrative warning case 2026 TR for 0771. Officer noted driver used threatening language toward officer. Documentation only. No citation issued. Prior warning note September 2026. Subject stated, you'll regret pulling me over, verbal only. Issued warning due to age and first contact. Julian shrugged. I was 16. I didn't mean anything. Caprio leaned forward slightly. And now you're 19. What changed? I got better lawyers. The courtroom stayed silent. Caprio wrote something down, then looked up. Tell me what happened on March 11th. Julian exhaled like this was boring him. I was driving through downtown. Some old lady stepped into the crosswalk without looking. I brake. She freaked out. That's it. That's it. Yeah. It was a harmless tap on the brakes. She exaggerated. Caprio turned to Miss Reyes. Do we have the crosswalk camera footage? Yes, Your Honor. Pedestrian camera frame. The 11th of March, 2027, 3:19 p.m. Vehicle 7, BX 4491 enters crosswalk at 38 miles per hour. Pedestrian visible mid-crossing. Vehicle brakes within 4 feet of contact. Caprio looked at Julian. You know the speed limit in a pedestrian zone? 15, I think it's 10. You were going 38. Julian tilted his head. The camera's probably wrong. The camera doesn't lie. Nay, thirdo I. Caprio set the photo aside. Officer Holt, please step forward. Officer Brian Holt walked to the witness stand. 40's calm demeanor, hands folded. He'd been doing this long enough not to react to anything. Officer Caprio said, tell us what you observed. Holt nodded. I was monitoring the intersection of Broad and Way Bosset. At 3:19 p.m., I saw the defendant's vehicle enter a marked crosswalk at high speed. A pedestrian, later identified as Martha Dunley, was mid-crossing. The vehicle braked. Dunley fell backward trying to avoid impact. Did you approach the vehicle? I did. I activated my lights and pulled the defendant over half a block north. What happened then? Holt glanced at his notes. I asked for license and registration. The defendant provided his license but refused registration. Hesitate. Holt read directly. Do you know who me father is? He'll ruin your badge if you write me up. Julian laughed once sharp. That's not what I said. Caprio looked at him. What did you say? I said me father's a lawyer and he'd want to see the evidence. That's not a threat. Holt continued without prompting. I explained the violation. The defendant took the citation, tore it in half, and threw it out the window. Then he told me I was wasting his time. Did you feel threatened? Caprio asked. Holt paused. Yes, Your Honor. Not physically, but the message was clear. Drop it or face consequences. Body cam audio excerpt. The 11th of March, 2027, 3:23 p.m. Holt. Sir, I need you to accept the citation. Julian, you need to get a real job. My father bills more in an hour than you make in a month. Holt. Sir. Julian, write it. I'll make sure you regret it. The courtroom absorbed the audio like a weight dropping. Julian's face stayed neutral, but his jaw tightened. Caprio removed his glasses. Mr. Mercer, that doesn't sound hypothetical. It was frustration. I didn't mean you told an officer he'd regret doing his job. Julian's lawyer leaned toward him and whispered something. He shook his head. Miss Reyes cleared her throat. Your Honor, we also have a call log. Go ahead. She pulled it up on the monitor. 3 calls plus said to the clerk's office within 40 minutes of the traffic stop. 2 from Mercer Law Group. 1 voicemail left by Paralegal. Caprio nodded. Play the voicemail. Voicemail excerpt. The 11th of March, 2027, 42 p.m. This is Dana from Mercer Law Group calling regarding case 2027 TR 99214. Mercer requests a callback before this matter becomes public. We'd like to discuss resolution options. Thank you. If you've ever seen Judge Caprio's calm strength, keep listening. Van stood quickly. Your Honor, that call was procedural. We were simply counselor sit. She Saturday. Caprio looked at the screen. Procedural means following process. This was pressure. Julian leaned forward. My dad was trying to help. That's what parents do. Help means supporting you, not erasing accountability. Same thing. No, Caprio said quietly. It's not. Call log timeline. The 11th of March, 2027.3:17 p.m. traffic stop initiated. 3:31 p.m. first call to clerk's office Mercer Law Group, 3:48 p.m. Second Calto Court Administration, 4:02 p.m. voicemail left requesting quiet resolution. Miss Reyes gestured toward the gallery. Mrs. Dunley is here, Your Honor. Caprio nodded. Mrs. Dunley, please come forward. An older woman stood slowly. 72, silver hair, moving carefully. She wore a wrist brace and walked with a slight limp. She took the witness stand and sat with her hands folded. Mrs. Dunley, Caprio said gently, can you tell us what you remember? Her voice was soft but clear. I was crossing at the light. I had the walk signal. I was about halfway across when I heard tires squealing. I looked up and saw a car coming fast. I tried to move back, but I tripped. I fell on my hip and caught myself with my wrist. Did the driver stop? No. He slowed down. Booth didn't stop. He yelled something out the window. What did he say? She hesitated. He said I should stay home if I am too slow to cross a street. Julian muttered. That's not. Caprio raised a hand. Julian stopped. Mrs. Dunlay. Caprio continued. Were you injured? Twisted wrist. Bruised hip. I went to urgent care that evening. Miss Ray handed a document to the bench. Caprio scanned it. Medical note. Street Joseph's urgent care. The 11th of March 2027. Patient of Martha Dunlay. Complaint. Falling crosswalk. Diagnosis. Wrist sprain, hip contusion. Treated and released. Caprio thanked her and asked her to stay nearby. She nodded and returned to her seat. Julian leaned back in his chair. She's fine. It was barely anything. She fell because of you. She fell because she's old and unsteady. Caprio set the file down. Mr. Mercer, what's the base fine for these violations? Julian glanced at his lawyer. She whispered something. He shrugged. I don't know, a few $100. $9.20. Julian laughed. That's it. My dad bills more in 10 minutes. Caprio's expression didn't change, but the room seemed to shift. He looked down at the file, then back up. Mrs. Dunlay, you taught at Hope High School for 30 years. Is that correct? She nodded from her seat. Yes, Your Honor. And after you retired, you taught free night classes for adult learners. I did. Caprio turned to Julian. Your father's firm, Mercer Law Group, publishes an annual pro bono report. Mrs. Dunlay is listed as a community volunteer they support. She taught English to immigrants. Your father's firm helped with legal services. Julian's face went blank. She taught people for free, Caprio continued. While your father billed hundreds an hour and you told her to stay home. Julian's voice came out quieter. I didn't know that. Would it have mattered? He didn't answer. Mr. Mercer, do you think she exaggerated now? Julian looked at his hands. I don't know. That's the problem. You don't think about other people at all. Julian's jaw tightened. He muttered under his breath. Spare me the charity parade. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of everything unsaid, everything Julian didn't understand and refused to learn. Caprio just stared at him. 5 seconds, 7, 10, 12. Finally, Caprio spoke. Miss Reyes, is there anything else? She pulled up an email. Yes, Your Honor. This was sent to our office 2 days after the incident. Email excerpt. The 13th of March, 2027 from Mercer Law Group Administration to Providence Municipal Court. Subject Case 2027 TR 9921 for. Resolution request. We respectfully recommend quiet resolution given the family's civic involvement. A favorable outcome serves mutual interests. Caprio read it twice, then set it aside. Mr. Mercer, your father tried to make this disappear. Did you ask him to? Julian shifted. No, he just did it. Why? Because he thought it was stupid, a waste of time. And you agreed? Yeah, I still do. Caprio leaned forward. Here's what I find. You drove recklessly in a pedestrian zone. You nearly struck a 72-year-old woman. You threatened an officer. You destroyed a legal citation and then your family tried to use influence to erase it. He paused. You think power protects you? It doesn't. It just makes your mistakes more visible. Julian's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client is young and counselor. Your client is an adult. Sit. She Saturday. Caprio continued, the base fine is $9.20, but I'm not interested in your money. I'm interested in whether you can learn. Learn what? Julian asked. That threatening people is not strength. That wealth is not authority. That every person in this city, Mrs. Dunlay, Officer Hull, the clerk, the bailiff matters as much as you do. Julian said nothing. So here's the sentence. Caprio said, you'll pay the base fine, but half of it will be suspended pending completion of a restorative program. You'll write formal apologies to Officer Hull and Mrs. Dunlay. You'll complete 140 hours of community service with the Pedestrian Safety Department. You will produce 2 public service announcements for school safety. You'll take an anger management course and you'll submit a 900-word reflection on accountability. Julian stared. You're joking. I'm not. You have 10 weeks. If you complete it, the fine is reduced. If you don't, the full amount applies, plus penalties for non-compliance. This is insane. Caprio's voice stayed calm. This is consequences. Power without humility collapses on contact with truth. You're about to learn that. He turned to Ms. Reyes. This court is also adopting new protocols. Any attempt to intimidate court officers triggers an automatic escalation flag. Youth drivers involved in pedestrian incidents receive mandatory safety review, and any external contact regarding active cases must be logged publicly. This starts today. Service hour deadlines. Case 2027-TR9921 for. Required apology letters. Officer Holt, Mrs. Dunlay 140 hours pedestrian safety service 2 PSA recordings anger management course completion 900-word accountability essay deadline 10 weeks from today. Julian's face had gone pale. My father's going to. Your father isn't here. Caprio said you are, and you're the one who has to fix this. Julian opened his mouth, then closed it. Do you understand the terms? Julian nodded stiffly. I need to hear you say it. I understand. Good. Court adjourned. The gavel came down. The first week, Julian submitted an apology letter to Officer Holt that was 2 sentences long and ended with, I hope this resolves the matter. Miss Reyes sent it back the same day with a note. An apology acknowledges harm. This is a closing statement. The second attempt was longer but worse. It included the phrase, if it made you uncomfortable. Miss Reyes rejected it again. By the third draft, Julian had rewritten it 8 times. Heffinally turned in something honest. I threatened you because I was used to getting my way. That was wrong. You were doing your job and I tried to intimidate you into stopping. I'm sorry. Miss Reyes approved it. The community service was harder. Julian reported to the Pedestrian Safety Office on a rainy Tuesday morning. The coordinator, a man named Mr. Ortiz, handed him a reflective vest and a clipboard. You'll be working crosswalk assistance. Morning and evening rush. Stay visible. Help people who need it. Don't talk unless they talk first. Julian spent the first 3 days standing at intersections, watching people cross. It was boring, humiliating. He hated it. By the second week, he started noticing things. How long it took some people to cross. How cars didn't always wait. How a woman with a stroller had to time the light perfectly or risk getting stranded halfway. One morning, he helped an older man with a walker navigate a curb. The man thanked him. Julian nodded and didn't say anything, but something about it stuck. Mini timeline. Weeks 110. Week 1. First apology rejected, service hours 6. Week 2, second apology rejected, hours 14. Week 3, final apology approved, hours 28. Week 4 began PSA scripting, hours 42. Week 5, recorded first PSA re-recorded after review, hours 61. Week 6, anger management course started, hours 79. Week 7, Mrs. Dunley's apology submitted and approved, hours 98. Week 8, completed second PSA, hours 118. Week 9, essay in progress, hours 133. Week 10, all requirements met, hours 142. Mrs. Dunley came to one of his shifts in week 7. Julian saw her approaching the crosswalk and froze. She didn't recognize him at first. He was wearing the vest and a baseball cap. But when she got closer, she stopped. "You're Julian?" "Yes." She studied him for a moment. "You're doing the service hours?" "I am." She nodded slowly. "How's it going?" "It's harder than I thought." "Good," she said, no tongue kindly. Just matter of fact, Julian helped her cross. When they reached the other side, she turned. "Thank you for the letter. I got it last week." "Did you read it?" "I did." And she smiled faintly. "You listened this time." The anger management course was 8 sessions. Julian resisted it at first, sitting in the back, barely participating. But by session 4, something cracked. The instructor asked him to describe a time he'd felt powerless. Julian couldn't think of one. That realization sat with him for days. The essay took the longest. He started it 4 times, deleting each draft. The prompt was simple. "What does accountability mean?" he finally wrote. "Accountability means facing what you did instead of hiding behind who you are. I thought my father's name protected me. It didn't. It just made me think I didn't have tone to her for my actions. I threatened Officer Hull because I was scared of getting in trouble, and I thought power was the same as being right. It's not. Power is just louder. Being right means listening, learning, and fixing what you broke. I'm still learning." He submitted it on a Sunday night. Miss Reyes called Monday morning. "It's approved. All requirements are met. Would you have handled it the same way? Tell us below." The follow-up hearing was scheduled for early June. Julian walked into the courtroom and felt different. Not confident, smaller,